Hello my lovelies, my name's Kyra-Cherise and this is Love for the Art. My name's Kyra-Cherise and I work for Renaissance Studios. Renaissance is a creative studio in Brixton. My role specifically is production coordinator, but when we hold events, which I'll get into a little bit later, I also host and present as well. Renaissance was actually started 7 years ago. We initially had a studio not too far from here, so we had that for about 2 years. And this space that we're in at the moment, we've had that for 5 years. The motivation with a female-led studio, I think that came from the founder, who is Kyra-Campbell. We are also sisters, and to be honest, it was because we have a lot of friends who are female in the industry. And they was looking for, they might have fallen out of work and wanted a way of getting back into the industry. Some might have had their confidence knocked and they might have wanted a different way of, just finding that way in and opening the door to people who might not be in the industry necessarily. And we found that we could do that pretty much as a band of sisters. So that is what gave us the motivation for Renaissance Studios. Charlene, who is our senior producer and director, she is my eldest sister. And then next is Tamara, myself, and our other sister, Serene. So initially, for us, as I was saying earlier, we just wanted to find a way of opening the door to Black creatives and to, Black women and people who are underrepresented in the industry. That was kind of where the motivation came from. In terms of where the motivation came from as a whole, us as a family, we've had a very creative past. So my sisters used to go to YCTV, and they was very lucky in mixing with people like Stella McCartney, David Bowie, and that was excellent for them really, because that kind of sparked that creativeness inside of them. So yeah, that's where it kind of all led from. And me watching my sisters being as creative as they are, I loved it. I absolutely loved every bit of it, and I wanted to get involved. So Renaissance means rebirth, and that is exactly what we wanted to be and do. We wanted to see that almost like a restart with Black creatives in the industry. We wanted to see that door that might not necessarily be open get kicked down. So that's what we wanted to do. So the rebirth is what Renaissance actually means. But in terms of the creative industry and how that links together, I think it is simply that, we wanted to see that rebirth, see that change in the industry. How do we see that happen, and how do we reinstate things that should have always been there since the beginning? And that is what rebirth is, and that's what Renaissance is. And I'm glad to say we've made it what it is today. So 2020 was a wild year for everyone. And I think a lot of people ended up looking at their lives and kind of trying to recenter themselves and refocus. As a team at Renaissance, we kind of had to look within the resources that we had available and think to ourselves, what can we do to still keep the youth entertained? Not even just youth, but everybody, anybody that's in the creative industry. What do we do to keep them entertained? What do we do to make sure that people still have skills and things to actually focus on, to refocus themselves? And that was how we came up with the Creative Clinic. Now, we ended up doing our first session of the Creative Clinic online, obviously due to, lockdown and being at home all the time. So when we first offered the Creative Clinic, it was completely online. And to be honest, it was fantastic because we noticed that we had engagement from all over the world. We had, people from Ghana, the UK, Wales, and we realized that we'd actually managed to touch a lot of people, and also that a lot of people needed it. A lot of people needed something to focus on whilst the lockdown was going on, and it also gave people something to look forward to as well. So yeah, that's what we did in 2020 during COVID. Off the back of that, we then realised that actually this is something that a lot of people need, and once lockdown had stopped, we then decided let's do it in person. So that's what we moved forward with. So with the Rebirth project specifically, that is the band that we decided to put Creative Clinic under. So as I was saying earlier, in terms of starting, fresh things and kicking down doors that might not necessarily be opened to us in our community, we decided to put the Creative Clinic underneath that and kind of use it as an umbrella almost. So with the Rebirth and the Creative Clinic, as I was saying prior, we realised that this was something that we could do in person. So when we came out of lockdown, we then decided to do in-person events with the Creative Clinic. Our first one that was in person was absolutely magnificent, and we had a lot of support as well from companies within the creative industry. So we had sponsorships from Channel 4, BFI, Fremantle. We had a lovely gentleman who was the ex-head of YouTube Originals come down. And we also had people from Link Up TV, and it was just a fantastic event. So that is why we decided to put it under the Rebirth, because it's about that fresh new start for people within the creative industry. There's a lot that we've done over the years. So at the moment, as I was saying, we've got sponsorships with different companies, not necessarily sponsorships, we've got partnerships with different companies. So recently we just fantastically managed to get our first show commissioned by Channel 4 called The Dating Pool. So that's going to be on E4 and digital, so you can go and watch that. Make sure you watch it. So we've got that coming out, and that was absolutely lovely to work on. I won't give away too much about it specifically, but yeah, that is one of the beautiful partnerships that we've got at the moment with Channel 4, and hopefully we will have more events with them in the future as well.
What could you say was Renaissance Studio's most successful program?
Oh, most successful. Do you know what? In our eyes, they're all successful because it's from us. But to be honest, I would say our most successful would be between the Dating Pool and the Creative Clinic. Reason being, the Dating Pool is something that we created. We had all the creative control, and it was what we want to see on television from people in our community, for people in our community. So I would say that that would be probably one of our most successful to date. But speaking in terms of one of the most successful projects that we've had that continually aids people in our community, I would have to say that would be the Creative Clinic. When you're in a production company, you can create ideas and then you can go and pitch to broadcasters. So that was basically what we did. We sat down, we had a meeting, we spoke about all the ideas that was all going through our heads. And then we basically decided to just bring that to a broadcaster, and Channel 4 absolutely loved the idea. And we're very grateful that they also want to do more projects with us in the future as well. In terms of Big Z's, Big Eats and Gogglebox and stuff, we've been fortunate to know people who are working on those projects, and we work with them closely as well, which is fantastic. And yeah, gosh, they're getting along really, really well as well. Gogglebox is amazing, and the same for Big Z's, Big Eats. We also did Black to Front as well. That was last year. It was just like the ending of last year. That was really, really good. We worked for Channel 4 on that, and I'm not sure if you saw it, but that was basically bringing Black creatives to the forefront of television. So they had I think it was a day full of projects where it was like Black casts, Black crew members, just the Black community, both in front of the camera and behind the camera. And that was lovely. We was able to work with them on that. Myself specifically, I did some producing for a company called Trim It, and that was in conjunction with Black to Front as well, and that was lovely. And it was like we basically had to go and spend the day with the Black community, literally just general members of the public, and ask them what did they think and what was their opinion on Black to Front as a whole. But that was fantastic. Like, it was just lovely getting people's like on the spot reactions. That was really nice. I really enjoyed that. So yeah, we've been very, very lucky to work with Channel 4 repetitively, and yeah, we will be doing more so in the future as well.
What advice could you give to people who are struggling to get into the industry, and what initiatives should they take?
That's a good question. Personally, I would say keep trying and try everything. For myself, I started doing running when I was trying to find where I kind of fit in with the industry. So as a young person, I think it's fantastic to do running. There's also a lot of paid roles as well, so you're being paid for your time, and you also get to like see all different aspects of the industry in pretty much a short few hours. So you know, you might go to a set, you might just be making teas or ironing clothes or set design, but you get to see absolutely everything that's happening. So that would be my advice, would be to try running and just keep trying, keep building your experience, network. It's fantastic to network simply because opportunities come from everywhere. And yeah, don't be too hard on yourself. If you know something's not going too great, just keep trying. I know it's easier said than done, but don't be hard on yourself. And yeah, I think that's about it. But for myself, I did running, I did a few adverts, and then I did like production coordination, so making sure that people end up on sets on time, lunches are there on time. So yeah, that would be my advice. For the studio itself, you can find us on Instagram and on Facebook. So it's Renaissance_Studio Brixton. On what else do we have? I'm trying to think of like personal ones as well. So yeah, you can find us on Instagram, Renaissance_Studio Brixton. For myself, you can find me on Instagram, Cherise_Camps, and yeah, that's about it.